I'm not the Messiah.
No. No, you're not.
You are going against Jesus Christ, who was a perfect man.
We're talking about God, the creator of the world and the universe. Who is this guy to do this?
All I know is that I felt conviction in making the film. I felt it was coming from the right place.
It became a symbol of something that I don't think it was ever intended, certainly not by us, to be.
Nobody said that this was the story for everyone.
Shame on you!
Freedom of expression!
It's filled with error and blasphemous.
In 1988, a legendary director dared to explore the humanity of Jesus.
We can have a child.
And sparked one of the most furious controversies in Hollywood history.
I firmly believe that if that movie is allowed to go in movie houses, that the state of California is going to fall in the ocean.
And this is clearly, by definition, an anti-Christian film.
Christian bashing is over!
The film was not intended to be anti-Christian, and I did not look at the movie as an attempt to either demean or blaspheme Jesus.
How Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ outraged some.
This is outrageous.
Inspired others.
I was deeply moved by this film.
Sparked a shocking outbreak of anti-Semitism.
If the Jewish community wants to have anti-Semitic backlash, then you're going to get it.
And reignited an age-old debate over the humanity or divinity of Christ.
And action!
The idea of Jesus' sacrifice, all divine, all human. This is the passion I felt about it.
The Last Temptation of Christ. Up next on Movies That Shook the World.
It is accomplished!
Hollywood spends $10 billion a year making movies. Some hit, some miss, some shake the world. The Last Temptation of Christ opened in August 1988 to raves.
I thought it was absolutely great, and I'm a believer in Christ.
Furious protests.
That movie was written by homosexuals, witches, and queers, and perverts, and they don't even know Jesus.
And charges of outright blasphemy.
It is a blasphemous, sacrilegious, scurrilous, lascivious disaster of a film.
The march and rally begins at noon.
Religious right talk show hosts railed and railed and railed. It was just intolerant. I'm not a theologian, but, faith should be tested.
Martin Scorsese's intimate look at the inner life of Jesus was viewed by many as a desecration of core Christian beliefs.
This is not the last temptation. This is the ultimate exploitation.
But Scorsese was no atheist out to undermine faith. His own deep affinity for the Bible began in his days as an altar boy and has lasted his entire life.
Basically, I wanted to be a priest. Went into a preparatory seminary, but my grades didn't hold up. My interests got distracted. A lot of the inspiration and passion that I found, religious impulses, were maybe transferred to cinema to a certain extent, while I still had thoughts of going back into seminary.
When he was young, it was either being a filmmaker or a priest, so that tells us something right there.
After becoming a celebrated director, Scorsese dreamt of uniting his two great passions.
I was obsessed with making a film on the New Testament, biblical subject matter, particularly life of Jesus.
Then, in 1972, actress Barbara Hershey approached him on the set of Boxcar Bertha with an intriguing book.
This book was Cousin Zacchaeus' Last Temptation of Christ, and it deals with the immediacy of who Jesus is and the concept as a Catholic and as Christians, Jesus is fully divine and fully human.
I realized that he was very religious and spiritual, and I said, you should read this book and you should make a film of it. And he told me later, I said, that I should play Mary Magdalene, which I don't remember saying, but it sounds like me.
Nikos Kazantzakis, the Greek author of The Last Temptation, was almost excommunicated for imagining Jesus as a man with flaws, doubts, and even sexual fantasies.
That book from the beginnings had controversy all over it.
Broadly speaking, it was about exploring the human side of Jesus.
As Jesus suffers on the cross, he imagines a happily married life with Mary Magdalene.
What's that?
A wedding ceremony.
Who's getting married?
You are.
It's an exploration. It's a dream sequence. And it's that simple.
And in the book, the last temptation really is life. The honor to get to live, to do the things that we do.
The last temptation of Christ is not sexuality, it's not power, it's living the life of a normal human being.
We can have a child.
Sexuality is part of that gift. And I think that's what probably disturbed a lot of fundamentalist groups, I think, to deal with that issue.
To Martin Scorsese, Kazantzakis' fantasy raised an age-old question. How could Jesus have been both fully human and fully divine?
I was never crucified. I never came back from the dead. I'm a man like everybody else.
Quiet.
Why are you telling these lies?
And if Jesus then suffered for us and understood our pain and suffering, then how could he if he was fully divine?
He's real like us. Don't you see?
But if he was also fully human, that includes everything human, then he can understand and make the great sacrifice.
What's happening? Who's doing this? Struggling. With who? I don't know. I'm struggling. No.
But for centuries, some Christians have considered the idea pure heresy.
If Jesus is a man who's full of lusts and greed and envy and self-hate, then his death on the cross means no more than all the millions of people who are dying today all around the world.
In 1983, the Powerhouse director had little trouble persuading Paramount chief Michael Eisner to finance The Last Temptation of Christ.
He was a very, very hot filmmaker at the time, taxi driver, raging bull, so that he could get people to back his passionate idea.
We started working on it in January of '83, and the process of casting began.
With enough money for a huge epic, elaborate sets were built in Jerusalem. Then word leaked out that Scorsese was filming Kazantzakis' controversial book. Newly empowered Christian conservatives, fresh from helping elect Ronald Reagan president, inundated Paramount with furious protests.
Donald Wildman was aware of it, and he had made, I think, some ominous threats.
Christian bashing is over. Yeah.
They were already getting 500 letters of protests a day.
Christian groups also went after another crucial target, the theaters.
The biggest theater chain in the country at that time was United Artists Theaters. A letter campaign came in from certain Christian groups.
They were all set. They were shooting in Israel, and then it fell apart.
UA Theaters called up and said basically they would not show a film in their theaters.
On Thanksgiving of 1983, intimidated by massive pressure from the Christian right, Paramount did the unthinkable, canceled a film already in production.
Paramount decided we better pull out now. This is just not what we want. We don't want controversy.
That was a lovely Christmas present that Paramount gave us when they pulled the plug at the last minute.
Coming up, Scorsese's first attempt was brought down by the Christian right, but the director was determined to resurrect his film, even at his own risk.
Marty had to have bodyguards.
Pictures got to be made. You really feel that strongly about it. Then it has to come from you, and you have to find a way to do it.
And action!
Hollywood ignites in protest when movies that shook the world return.
Every Sunday morning, Peter Bart and Peter Goober take a meeting with the biggest names in the business. This week, Shirley MacLaine joins the shootout.
Someone whose first role was under Hitchcock.
Not under him, not quite. I live down in New Mexico with the elk.
You're not going to do a picture with an elk?
Oh, Peter, that is just like the studio head. Oh, my God.
An all-new episode of Sunday Morning Shootout. Sunday morning at 11 on AMC.
Come on, Dad. You always say finish what I start. Well, determination and discipline, I already possess those qualities. I just need a place where they can come out, where they matter. That's why I want to join the military. What do you think? Dad, talk to me.
Make it a two-way conversation. Get the facts at todaysmilitary.com.
It takes a family to make a house a home, and a home to turn a dream into a future. So if you have a dream...
In Chicago, I'm your man. I'm an AmeriQuest mortgage specialist.
So if you're thinking of buying a home or refinancing?
I'll help you pay off your high-interest credit cards and lower your monthly payments.
I'm an AmeriQuest mortgage specialist, and I'm here to help you with your dream.
Call 1-800-AmeriQuest or visit AmeriQuest.com. AmeriQuest Mortgage, proud sponsor of the American Dream.
Dan Marino! Who wants to go deep? I do. That's why we created Papa John's new Perfect Pan Pizza.
Introducing the big taste of Papa John's Pan Pizza. A zesty Robusto sauce with garlic and spices. A new thick golden crust made deep and square so we can pile on the toppings. Get a large pan pizza with up to 5 toppings for just $12.99. We deliver. Call now or order at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, and now better pan.
Papa John's!
Hi, I'm here downtown to bring you...
Ambien CR is now available. Talk to your doctor. If you use Ambien, call today for your 7-day Ambien CR free trial.
If you owe over $10,000 to the IRS or state, call American Tax Relief for a free consultation.
I thought I was going to lose my business, but American Tax Relief got me a second chance.
Call 800-919-6563 for your free consultation.
Get ready to add muscle, lose pounds, and reshape your body fast. Take strength training to the next level. Introducing the all-new Bowflex Ultimate 2. Call or go online for your free DVD that tells you all about it. The Ultimate 2 has it all. The all-new squat attachment that's biomechanically designed to reduce stress on your knees and back. The innovative new Preacher Curl attachment that intensifies the resistance on your biceps. And the new no-cable change pulley system delivers faster workouts than ever because you don't have to change cables between exercises. Through this special offer, you can own the Ultimate 2 for no money down and payments of just $34 a month. This is the strength training machine you need to get powerful biceps, a sexy core, even chiseled legs in an easy 20-minute workout just 3 times a week. Guaranteed results are easy. Call or go online for your free DVD. Make an investment in yourself for just $34 a month. Call now.
Martin Scorsese's first attempt to film The Last Temptation of Christ ended when Paramount was pressured to pull the plug. But 5 years later, a determined Scorsese convinced Universal to give him another chance.
That same year, they made Do the Right Thing with Spike Lee, and they also did Born on the 4th of July with Oliver Stone. So they were making films they felt that had something to say.
But Universal's budget was a fraction of the original, which ironically contributed to the film's gritty realism.
Let's say this November 8th, right? November 9th, Monday.
Basically, it was a low-budget movie. It was like going to war.
It's November 10th. We're setting up the John the Baptist sequence. Now, this scene of John the Baptist is scheduled for a day and a half also. So we're in a crush, as usual. Okay. Yes, would you give me coffee with one sugar? Okay, ready? We're preparing for the shot, thanks.
We shot in Morocco, and it was very arduous. We had hardly any money. We all worked for scale. We had no niceties. It was very threadbare.
Okay, ready? Let's go. And roll it. And action.
Everything had to be done quickly. It was not the way that Marty usually works.
Marty, this isn't like making a movie. It's like being in the paratroopers.
Hey, Joe, let's go.
I'm going. I'm trying to hurry.
Come on, it's 10 to 2, 10 to 2.
10 to 2, I know. Here.
Oh, my God. And action!
Imagine a big biblical epic. You'd see lines of Roman soldiers. I had 5 guys. 5 guys. And these 5 soldiers would, come up. And then we swish pan over, and another 5, and swish pan over, and another 5. It's all the same 5. Same 5 men. And then they attack.
It was so wonderful, the look of the film, the feeling of the light in Morocco was so incredible. And it seemed to me that the earth was red, and that blood was such an important image in the film because of sacrifice. It was really quite stunning.
Meanwhile, anticipating the protests that had derailed the first production, Universal hired a producer known for his affiliation with Christian groups to act as a liaison.
My role was basically as a Christian consultant vis-a-vis the Christian community, and my job was to bring this group together and prepare for the screening that was promised by Universal early in the spring of that year.
Many Christian activists were skeptical from the start, so Penland devised a strategy of consulting with potential critics.
Tim Penland started contacting me 6 months before the film was released. Asked me about some of the script changes. I told him I didn't think it was going to be able to be fixed in editing.
The script was leaked before the final script was set, and it just spread like wildfire through the Christian community.
And they began to get people like Mother Angelica and a lot of other Christian leaders exercised over all of this.
I firmly believe that if that movie is allowed to go in movie houses, that the state of California is going to fall in the ocean.
This Jesus is more than a wimp. He's a limp wimp.
As a final gesture of inclusion, Universal unveiled a rough cut for Christian leaders. Liberals attended, but most conservatives boycotted the screenings.
Hollywood has demeaned too much.
What upset me the most was that most of these people hadn't either read the book or seen the film.
How can you criticize a film you haven't seen?
Well, I can criticize a lot of films I haven't seen because the content is well reported.
As outrage grew among Christian conservatives, Tim Penland, hired to prevent protests, quit to become a protest leader himself.
We know enough to know that this film is not an affirmation of faith.
I explained to him this was my agreement. If this film is perceived as blasphemous, or if there's a problem here, I will have to resign. And of course they said, well, if you resign, then all hell is going to break loose. And I said, yeah, probably will.
The protests against The Last Temptation of Christ started even before the film is finished.
Universal scrambled to preempt bad publicity by rushing the film into early release on August 12th, 1988.
They were fearful about what might happen if too much time went by after it was finished and before it was released, and the studio put a lot of pressure on them to get it out fast.
We worked day and night to finish it, to get it out in one theater or two theaters, whatever it was, to show the actual film.
To let it defend itself.
Yeah.
Coming up, Scorsese braced himself for the protests sure to come. But even he didn't expect the wave of anti-Semitism about to sweep Hollywood.
It's a great lesson to see that the first thing that happened was they attacked them as Jews.
There's going to be an anti-Semitic backlash.
Up next, on movies that shook the world.
In the name of God and in the name of decency, do not put out this film.
This semester, the stars are going back to school.
What's not to like?
For the first time on television, you can audit Professor Richard Brown's legendary film course.
Now, you talk before that you really have had no training.
It's kind of bragging. Maybe a little training.
This week, Willem Dafoe.
I had a guy come up to me today, it was a bicycle messenger, and he said, I don't care what they say. To live and die in L.A., that's a good picture.
Movies 101 with special guest Willem Dafoe. New episode next on AMC.
Dan Marino! Who wants to go deep? I do. That's why we created Papa John's new Perfect Pan Pizza.
Get a large Perfect Pan Pizza with up to 5 toppings for just $12.99.
Better ingredients, better pizza, and now better pan.
Papa John's!
Beauty is ageless. My secret?
Age Perfect Double Action. It's more than just a moisturizer. 1 with Elastium De-Crinkle Skin Surface. 2 with Pure Vitamin C Illuminates Skin.
Smoother and decrinkled.
Age Perfect Double Action Treatment from L'Oreal Paris.
Is your little race car driver constantly losing fuel? Quarterback? Not leaving it all in the field? What happens when the family Picasso is going through her blue period? No problem. It's the new Swiffer Carpet Flick for quick carpet cleanups between vacuuming. Swiffer Carpet Flick is perfect for those pesky little messes that happen every day all over the house, so you don't have to go through the hassle of pulling out the vacuum for every little mess. The refill sheet is sticky on both sides. Dirt is flicked up into the bin and locked away on the top side, while fuzz and lint are trapped on the bottom. And when the sheet is full, throw it away. Just flick, trap, and toss. Ah, the joys of a house with kids. A new Swiffer Carpet Flick for quick carpet cleanup between vacuuming.
Visit this website for $3 off Swiffer Carpet Flick and experience carpet cleaning made simple. Swiffer Carpet Flick. Just flick, trap, and toss. Bette Midler sings the Peggy Lee Songbook. Produced by Barry Manilow and featuring Bette's divine take on 10 Peggy Lee classics.
Is that all there is? Is that all there is?
Bette Midler sings the Peggy Lee Songbook, the new CD and dual disc, a tribute to Peggy Lee, a triumph for Bette Midler. In stores now or call or log on to order.
The Tempest over the Last Temptation of Christ. The motion picture is being released ahead of schedule today.
Beautiful! It's filled with air and blasphemous.
I don't know what these people are talking about. They should see the movie first.
You couldn't drag me into that trap.
Chicago, same thing. Big crowds, big protests.
They are ridiculing my God.
It's not right.
It is not blasphemous. Martin Scorsese should be canonized.
Honey, I'm not going to judge you. Don't, honey, but hell is wide open.
August 1988. Amidst growing outrage by conservative Christians, Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ finally premiered to mostly glowing reviews.
I don't have to be sacrificed.
No. No, you don't.
I'm not the Messiah.
No. No, you're not.
I thought it was a great film. I believe he made a great spiritual film. My late partner, Gene Siskel, picked it as the #1 film of the year. So there was a real division of opinion.
But good reviews only fueled the fury of Scorsese's detractors.
Church leaders demanded that Universal withdraw the film. Otherwise, they said, Christians everywhere should boycott it.
The leader of Campus Crusade for Christ suggested that Universal sell him all the copies of the film so he could destroy them.
This sort of thing is going to happen to the movie screen.
There were two New York policemen standing on either side of the screen to protect the screen from someone who might want to slash it or throw paint on it. And I said, that is so cool. The movie that has to be protected by the New York's finest.
Marty had to have bodyguards. And there was an incident in Paris where a theater was bombed.
In Paris, there was a clash during the night between police and demonstrators protesting the film The Last Temptation of Christ. Hundreds of people gathered in the streets demanding that the film not be shown. At one theater, police said protesters set off tear gas and attacked the projection booth.
Scorsese actually had death threats from people who felt that he had committed a sacrilege.
Furious critics turned their wrath on the studio's Jewish executives.
There's going to be an anti-Semitic backlash.
Meanwhile, because the head of Universal's parent company is Jewish, a few protests became anti-Jewish.
The head of MCA, who was Lou Wasserman, who was Jewish, they came to his house, picketed, burned him in effigy, and claimed that it was a Jewish plot against Christianity.
In the name of God!
The demonstrations that were done in front of Lou Wasserman's house, I was very surprised. I guess it's my naivete, and it's a great lesson, to see that the first thing that happened was they attacked them as Jews.
On a television talk show, Hymas repeated his message.
Sit down.
If the Jewish community wants to have anti-Semitic backlash, then you're going to get it.
It was a horrible outburst of anti-Semitism, and this was very ironic that this was a Jewish plot against Christianity when the makers of the film were all Christians.
But while conservative Christian groups reviled the film, many mainstream denominations heaped it with praise.
William Four of the National Council of Churches likes the picture.
And I think the film does an admirable job of then raising the question, to what extent are you willing to follow God's will?
I never felt I was so close to Jesus in watching this film. And
I think it is beautifully done.
Archbishop Moore, Episcopal Archbishop at the time at St. John the Divine, said the same thing. He was prepared to dislike it, but felt it was really a religious film.
I've been around a long time, but I was deeply moved by this film. It was a real spiritual experience for me.
The Last Temptation of Christ earned Scorsese a Best Director nomination in 1989. But the religious right had successfully flexed its newfound power, and the industry followed suit. For years, stores like Blockbuster refused to carry the film.
I used to go in wherever I was and always ask for it, try and make a point about it, but...
You won't find it at Walmart.
Yeah, so it's not easily...
It's not being shown, yeah. So it's not available.
A chastened Hollywood shied away from overtly biblical films, while Christian conservatives mobilized to promote their own values on the screen.
It got people of faith and values throughout every corner of the entertainment industry to come out and say, we want to now do things that reflect our faith and values. And you've got movies going all the way from Luther to The Passion of the Christ. Mel Gibson felt galvanized that he needed to do a positive portrait of the gospel.
Ironically, Hollywood's new fear of religious controversy forced Mel Gibson to work outside the system.
That's why Mel Gibson, with The Passion of Christ, no distributor would even talk to him. You know, he couldn't get the time of day. So he had to use all of his own money.
Christian organizations are credited for pushing The Passion of the Christ up to $600 million at the box office.
And all of that money came in now to Mel Gibson's pocket rather than a major studio. So I think it was a great irony what happened with that film.
Some worry that major studios will never again risk making provocative films about the life of Christ.
The legacy of the film may be a political legacy to put our country in a more conservative mode so that a film like this in the future might not have been able to see the screen.
In the end, the passions unleashed by Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ illustrate the unique power of film to engage and enrage the spiritual imagination.
I think The Last Temptation of Christ is the greatest testament of how powerful a film can be.
Oh, it is a blasphemous film. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Actually attacking the character of God.
It's a film that people do come up to me and say it was a very important film for them. So let's say that's evidence that it moved people.
Welcome me home. I want to be your son. I want to pay the price. I want to be crucified and rise again. I want to be the Messiah.
I think the legacy will be, it was a very controversial film.
It is accomplished.
I think the controversy will remain with it for a long time. It shook the world.
And then I realized you have to pull away all that goes with making a film and think about what the elements are that prompted you to do the thing in the first place, which was my own concerns about what Jesus means, what he meant, what he means in the modern world, and in the future of being human. And if it makes people talk about it and think about it in a different way, some will disagree, that's good.
It is accomplished.